Welcome back indeed to Terry and Jesse Show. Father Charles Murr, my friend, is on with us. Father Murr, this is a huge topic, but you know, you've lived in Europe on and off in your life for many, many years. You've traveled Europe. And in this article, it says, in Europe's empty churches, prayer and confessions make way for drinking and dancing. Doesn't it say it all there? That's sad.
It says a lot. It says a lot.
What's going on? Why is this happening, Father Murr? What's your take on this?
Gabriel Marcel.
Yeah.
You remember Father Michelli?
Of course I do. Vincent Michelli, my hero.
Yeah, he was a great guy.
I love that guy. He's a true Jesuit.
He's the real Magilla.
Yeah.
Real Magilla. Anyway, Father Michelli once giving a course on existentialism.
Okay.
Gabriel Marcel. He was talking about, Gabriel Marcel made the observation that Europe after World War II was really devastated.
Yeah.
Morally, psychologically, spiritually, it was devastated. People had gone through World War I and World War II. There were so many people who came out of that with no faith at all.
Yeah.
Just no faith at all. They had lost all hope. And as a matter of fact, not only did they come out with no faith, they came out with no hope.
Yeah, that's
Viktor Frankl, a great, I think he's a great psychiatrist and psychologist.
Sure.
He wrote extensively on man without meaning in his life. There's no meaning, there's no hope, there's no reason. Well, now you've got no reason, no hope, no belief in God, no belief in your fellow man, because he might turn around and shoot your head off if he belongs to the other side.
Yep.
This is how the Europeans came out of World War II.
Wow.
And it just absolutely devastated Europe.
Yeah.
You could call it a skepticism that they had, but it's deeper than that. They rejected the whole idea of God. So many people came out of that, came out of World War II, especially not in the United States so much, because we didn't live the war.
Right.
The war wasn't happening around us. Our neighbors weren't being killed on the front lawns. Right. In Europe, they were.
Yeah.
People saw this, and it devastated Europe. I don't think they ever really recovered from that. And therefore, they lost an awful lot of faith. And the practice of the faith went down an awful lot. Also, on top of all of that, you have a nihilism that came in after World War II also.
Yes.
But also the sexual revolution of the 1960s devastated morals, just like a plague went through. So what little was left really died in that. People gave up. People just gave up and followed the flesh. So you've got empty churches. Yeah. That's only part of the problem, Terry, are the empty churches. Yeah. I live in Europe right now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you where, but I live in Europe presently.
Of course.
And I'm telling you, the problem in France, for example, and it's not only in France, the churches that exist are being burnt to the ground.
Yeah.
I think in France, within the last few years, 28 churches. I mean, we're talking about beautiful Gothic cathedrals.
Yeah.
And look at Notre Dame.
Yeah, there's a good example.
They never, and you know what's funny, Terry? Mm-hmm. No investigations.
Yeah, that tells you everything, in my opinion.
No investigations. They think it was a cigarette somebody threw. Not sure. A cigarette. Well, people are throwing cigarettes all over the place, and they all seem to land on Catholic churches. Yeah, it's an amazing thing. Nobody's ever brought to justice. Yeah. Their versions of the FBI are not brought in, and if they are, it's not important. Right. So you've got something. What am I getting to? I'm getting to this point. I think this is a great time for the second coming, Terry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think it's optimal.
Isn't this even more effective than what the French Revolution wanted?
Well, the Masons who were behind the French Revolution, they were behind the American Revolution, they were behind every revolution.
Yes.
were the Masons.
Yeah.
And that was their whole thing. Also, forget Italy. I mean, that's exactly who they were. Garibaldi and the Cavour and Mazzini, all of them. This whole idea of revolution was going to be perpetual. It was going to be ongoing. Well, they did it. They achieved it. They achieved it.
And you wrote a book regarding Freemasonry. Could you tell us the title of the book and how people can get it, please?
Sure. I've got to be truthful here. The book wasn't really so much on Freemasonry. Mm-hmm. In other words, I'm not an expert on Freemasonry. I really am not. Mm-hmm. What I wrote the book on was an investigation that was made into Freemasonry in the Vatican.
Yes.
From 1975 to 1978 by Cardinal Edward Gagnon, intimate friend of mine, dear friend. I miss him every day.
You bet.
Anyway, he did the investigation. The Pope Paul VI appointed him to do an investigation on Freemasonry in the Roman Curia.
Yeah.
Let me repeat that.
Yeah.
Freemasonry in the Roman Curia.
No.
That is to say, the people who worked closest with the Pope. This is amazing.
It is amazing.
The infiltration. And this is the 1970s.
Yes.
I think if that cannot be seen as completely evident today, you're not seeing correctly.
Father Murr, I'm going to put you on the hot seat. What would it take for us lay people to have a copy? There's someone has that document. What is it?
Okay, yeah, certainly somebody has a document. The Vatican has that document.
Okay.
I wrote to the Vatican. I wrote to Pope Francis.
Yes.
Asking him. It's almost 50 years. The Vatican has a thing with 50 years. Every 50 years they open secret documentation.
Didn't know that. Okay.
And it's almost 50 years. Open that. Show us what that investigation had to say.
Yeah.
I know parts of it because I worked with Cardinal Gagnon and I drove him to all of the audiences that he had with 3 different popes. I know very well what was happening. I'd just like that to be made public. I think it should be made public. What did that have to say about Freemasonry in the Vatican, in the personnel working in all of the offices of the Vatican? And there were very high people, very high positions, people in high positions, I should say, who were involved in all of that. The most important one was the manufacturer of bishops.
Incredibly important position. Incredibly important. Bishop.
He is. After the Pope, this is the most important position that we have in the church, because this is the man who's making all of the bishops for the entire world.
And I really don't.
We had a man who was accused,
sure,
and I think quite substantially so, of being a Freemason, and he named liberal bishops, liberal in the sense of Masonic.
Progressive, yep.
Liberal.
Now,
yep.
I don't want to get you in trouble, but Father Murr, let's be honest.
Oh, why not, Terry? You know I love trouble.
But let's be honest about this. We've noticed that the Freemasons have been very happy the last 10 years with the Catholic Church, with the leadership of Pope Francis. Now, I pray for Pope Francis every day, especially on Thursdays, we pray for him. But, things like I'll just give you, and we have to pray right now because on Friday, he skipped speeches because he couldn't hardly breathe. He had difficulties breathing. And, he's 86 years old. So, his health is really fragile and failing. But, he's doing things that the Freemasons seem to like, and documents that he writes. And I just think that is just very interesting that they're very happy.
Terry, why wouldn't the Freemasons like what he's doing?
Why?
He's doing everything that they've ever wanted.
Yeah.
Everything.
Kind of the brotherhood of man.
He is. Let me use a strong word. Here's a strong word for you.
Yeah.
You want me to get myself in trouble? I'll get myself in trouble.
I'm writing it down.
Dismantling.
Oh yeah, dismantling, destroying.
Dismantling. He has more than anyone I know in 2,000 years of history. He has personally dismantled the papacy.
Yeah. Well,
and this is what it's about.
Yeah.
These are hard times. They're hard times.
Can I give you?
We've got to get through them. And look,
we do.
I keep telling people this. We are going to be victorious if we hold on to being Christ's people.
Yes.
We've got to hold on to Christ, keep our focus on him. We will be victorious. If we let go of him, we will not. We'll fail.
Let me give you a quote from Pope Pius XII, who's one of your heroes. He said this in 1949, April, in front of hundreds of thousands of people at St. Peter's Square. He said, "Do you want a church that remains silent when she should speak?" And the people said, "No." And he said, "You want a church that diminishes the law of God, where she is called to proclaim it loudly?" And the people said, "No." "Do you want a church wanting to accommodate it to the will of the man?" "No." "Do you want a church that departs from the unshakable foundations upon which Christ founded her?" People said, "No." "You want a church that wants to take the easy way out by adapting herself to the opinions of the day?" "No." "You want a church that is prey to the current trends?" They said, "No." "You want a church that does not condemn the suppression of conscience and does not stand up for just liberty of the people?" "No." "Do you want a church that locks herself up within the four walls of her temple?" "No." Now, I go on in this statement, but I believe that was 1949, April, and I was very inspired by that speech. But I have to say, Father Murr, today, many people in the church would probably say yes, because that's what we're getting right now. Now, why would they say yes? Because when you lower the bar from the perennial teachings, we call it the deposit of faith, people are going to go astray. And I see this church right now where very few people take the church's teaching seriously, whether they're Catholic or non-Catholic. They all want to know, what does your church even teach anymore? And I'll tell you why, Father Murr. And I want to pray for the Holy Father, because he's supposed to confirm us in our faith, and he's doing just the opposite. He is making it ambiguous for people to know the faith. And I want to just tell people, don't worry about that. Worry about going to the deposit of faith that the church has always taught, with the good catechism, and not be, let's say, flustered by him, because he's not the superior of Christ. He's the vigor of Christ, but not the superior. Your thoughts, Father?
My thoughts. My goodness, you've thrown out quite a number of things.
Because I like what the Holy Father
thoughts on here. Here's the thing. I've said this over time and again, and we've talked about it. We've discussed it.
Sure.
People have got to know their faith.
You nailed it.
We cannot have we cannot have this idea that we're Catholic and we just go along.
That's right.
People have got to know what their faith is. And the problem the situation we're in today is a result of people not knowing their faith.
Yeah, well,
it's that simple.